Okay, I'm sitting here with KovaaK.
Hello. there.
What's the correct pronunciation? For me, it was always like KovaaK.
That's close enough.
Yeah.
I've always just said KovaaK. Even Rafa says KovaaK. So,
Yeah.
it's all over the place. It's all
Okay.
good. Anything.
So, for me, you are like Quake World legend. When I was growing up on dial-up playing Quake World, I was watching yours performances. Are those good memories? Are you still able to play Quake World nowadays?
Yeah, actually. So I haven't played like Quake World Deathmatch for 1-on-1s or 2-on-2s or 4-on-4s
Yeah.
for a while, and the community's pressuring me into it because I've been. Well, let me take a step back. About 20 years ago, back when I was playing Quake, I also was modding it.
Yeah.
So I like to make mods, and that was kind of how I got into programming as well. And one of the mods I made back then was Quake Smash mod. And it was great fun, but it was very simple. And if you're familiar with Smash Brothers, it's like you have that knockback percent. So you start at 0%, as you're taking damage, it goes up and up and up, and then as you take extra hits, you get up to like 100%, it's normal knockback. By the time you're at 200%, it's like double knockback.
Yeah.
And then we have death planes on the outside that kill you if you go too far. All that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I remade that mod in KTX, KT Pro, all that stuff, so that you can do like Ready Up, and you have different game modes. And I've been playing that for the last year with some of my friends, and it's amazingly fun.
Yeah.
I've been having such a blast playing it.
Okay.
And I've been playing it specifically with my Azeron Cyborg. And if are you familiar with that device?
Not that much.
Okay, so it's a keyboard replacement.
Yeah.
So I'm still using my mouse to aim, but instead of a keyboard, I have 22 buttons that my.
So it's kind of some kind of a gauntlet, basically.
Yes, and my
with a
thumb-
joystick on top.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm using the same for the Quake Champions,
Okay.
by Razer.
Okay, the Nostromo, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's like that. It's 3D printed and custom device, size to your hand. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I've been using that, and its joysticks in Quake 1 are so broken.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever played a Frogbot, LGC 3, you shoot those guys in the feet, and then they get knocked in the air, and they're still shooting you as they're like going in circles in the air. I can do that. It's not fair. It's just unreasonable. So I've been playing Quake Smash with my friends and pissing them off using a joystick because they're not. But it's also a ton of fun. We just play casually, having fun matches.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've been up to these days. And whenever I think back to the earlier Quake games, it was an incredible amount of fun going through that experience.
Yeah.
I met a lot of good people in the Quake World community. We played tons and tons of matches, tons of practice games, and it's just that was instrumental in like really building up the competitive experience and understanding how people get better at games. And yeah, that was great.
So you started with that modding with Quake World.
Yeah.
And then you, few years later, created your own game known as KovaaK. It's basically one of the first aim trainers out there. Was it like that?
Kind of. There were a handful of like websites where you could click dots and do that sort of thing. And that also kind of sprung up from my Quake World career because I was very interested in helping people get better at Quake. And I wasn't sure how best to like teach them how to aim.
Yeah, be patient because you eat one rocket and you are dead.
Yeah.
I remember those games on the M4 like.
Oh yeah. So many score lines.
Yeah.
So I thought like if I'm going to teach somebody how to aim, it'd be nice to have them be in a low stress environment where you can just practice the mechanics of doing it without tensing your arm and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I started thinking of like the ways to make different weapons. I kind of thought in my head, I want a profile system where you can specify that the character's like this, they can use different weapons, and then there are bots, and the bots dodge in different ways, and they're different sizes and shapes. And I just kind of spec'd that out and just wrote a design doc of the things I wanted to do. And the first time I thought, let's try to do it in Quake 1. I didn't get too far in that. I was like, this is kind of a waste of time. Nobody's going to see it. And then I tried to do it in Unity, and I spent a little bit of time, ran into some hurdles with the user interface back in like 2013 when I was playing with it. And then I learned Unreal Engine a little later. Just whenever I was first playing with Unreal, I kind of did like a random mess around project to learn the engine. And then I started actually making the project in 2015. And my game was the first profile-driven aim training. And And it was kind of funny because the big competitors at the time was Aim Hero,
Yeah.
which they launched, and they had maybe a dozen modes or simple
Yeah.
things you could practice, and then Aim Lab. And Aim Lab at the time kind of was similar to Aim Hero. They just wanted to build up like that, and they kind of struggled to like realize that the scenario driven thing is so important to
Yeah.
it. And these days, we have like 35,000 plus scenarios by Aim Trainer.
It's crazy.
That's still
That's
the difference
huge.
maker. The
Yeah.
fact that like there are that many things that people built up. So that's kind of the advantage that I have, since nobody else had that at the time, and it took a
Yeah.
couple of years for them to catch up.
And is this kind of things that, let's say, feed you? Is it that you make living out of this programming and?
Yeah. Yeah.
So is it like dream come true, basically?
It wasn't really an intentional dream come true.
Yeah.
Because I'd been working at I'm a computer engineer by degree. I've been working at a nuclear power plant near Pittsburgh for a while. That was my job from 2009 until after the Aim Trainer blew up. And
So it's basically from one explosive environment, being the Quake world, to another one with a nuclear plant.
It was a big change though, going from like an engineering environment with a big company down to and at the time the reason that I got out of the nuclear industry was because, well, so whenever I launched the Aim Trainer, it was selling like 30 copies a day, right?
Yeah.
And that's decent side income for a solo developer, but it really wasn't blowing up.
Yeah.
And it went about half a year before I formally joined on with the Meta. The Meta owned the Aim Trainer for a while.
Yeah.
And they invited me to work. Well, I guess maybe I should say this more clearly since it's an interview. Make sure we get all the facts right here.
I can cut it.
Yeah, it's all good.
But I probably won't. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
like-
as long as I don't say something factually incorrect, we're good. So before I released the Aim Trainer, the CEO of the Meta contacted me. He said, "We see what you're doing with your Aim Trainer. It looks really cool. Could we license your source code and do something a little different with it?" And I looked at their, what they were doing. I said, "Yeah, sure, that sounds nice."
Yeah.
So I made a little extra money off of them, and they took my source code. They were working with it. They asked me questions. About half a year went by, and they said, "We like the support you've provided us. Would you like to get a full-time job with us too?" And I've been working at the nuke plant. Life was hard for a lot of personal reasons at the time, and I said, "Yeah, I could use a change." So I joined them, and I think it was the day after I signed the contract. Sales went from 30 a day to 60 a day, and then to 90 a day, and then to 900 a day.
Wow.
And it stayed there for a
Yeah,
while. And
that's cool.
Yeah, it was an amazing explosion of interest in the Aim Trainer, and that came from the Fortnite and Overwatch communities.
Yeah.
And so whenever that went crazy, I was committed with the startup, very happy with them. They were great guys, and we ended up building up the company to about 30 employees at our peak.
Yeah.
And that was whenever the venture capitalists stopped providing income for us. So we only had game sales sustaining us, and we couldn't do that with 30 employees.
Yeah.
So we downscaled to 20, and then downscaled to 10.
Yeah.
And we stayed there for a while, and we went until the startup ran out of money, and then they very, very gracefully handed all of the rights back to me.
Yeah.
So now I'm running a new company, KovaaK Games Inc.
Yeah.
And it is it's the Aim Trainer, and we have 6 total employees.
Yeah.
And that's game sales. Are
Still, like making the living for 6 people, does it get to your mind somehow? Like, is it extra pressure?
At least as of right now, things are going in a good direction.
Okay.
We're building up our bank account, making sure that we can pay the bills for everything we need and support people as best we can. So I'm happy with it in the current state. I'm sure that, if game sales start to go down, then it'll be a little stressful figuring out what to do and how to handle it. But at least for the time being, things are going really well. I'm incredibly, incredibly happy with it.
Okay. I'm really glad to hear that you made actual living from what was passion once. This is the stories that I personally really love. That when somebody is doing something that he or she loves, and then it's turned to something that can sustain you.
Yeah, and the whole adventure with the meta was great too,
Yeah.
because we had some amazing engineers who built up the software. You know, we got a map editor out of it, we got playlist share codes, and just all sorts of really cool features that would have taken me a lot more time to do on my own. And plus, I got to meet some amazing engineers, some of whom I got to keep.
Yeah.
And
That's
they're,
cool.
They're just fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, let's go from business to fun. I saw you yesterday on the Doom speedrunning booth we have here. We are going to do some more like interview with the guys that are running over there. I saw over there, I was surprised. And then when we were going here, you told me that it is your huge passion right now. So can you tell me more about how did you get to Doom speedrunning, and what does it mean for you right now?
Sure. Thank you for asking this question. I love to talk about this game. So I actually didn't find out about. I mean, I knew Doom Eternal came out. I played Doom 2016, and I ignored Doom Eternal on release.
Yeah.
I didn't actually come to it until a year after it came out, and it was because a friend of mine had sent me it as a Secret Santa gift, so a little small group of us, you know, just a little thing like that. And then I got around to the game in March 2021, started playing it, and I was like, this is a really cool game. What do the speedruns look like? Because I've played Super Metroid speedrunning before, and I love that game too. But so I watched the speedrunners and the top players at the time, and I was like, this looks like a frag movie, just live performance. It's so cool. And as I was watching the top runners, you know, I'm the type, I played QuakeCon competitively for so many years, and as I watched demos of people back then, I was like, you could do this and it'd be better. And, and so then I get into Doom Eternal, I'm like, there are so many ways you can make this better, faster, more optimized, kill things quicker, and do movement better. And it just started itching that part of my brain that was like, I want to figure out what the limits are, see what this game looks like at the highest end possible. And I'm now about 1,200 hours into playing it over the last 3.5 years. And I love the game. I'm still actively playing it. A month ago, I got my most recent personal best. It was 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 17 seconds, 100% on a lower difficulty. And I'm aiming to work up to Ultra Nightmare. So my goal is sub 2 hour run in Ultra Nightmare, which once I do beat Ultra Nightmare, it'll be lower than sub 2 hours by a wide margin, I expect. So it's been a huge adventure of like exploring the techniques in the game, because the movement is very unique. It's nothing like Quake, but it's also very fast, and it's got a lot of unique properties. And the combat techniques are amazing too. It feels like a fighting game in some regards, because you've got these special combos that have tight timings required to make things work. And if you mess it up, there are consequences. And then as a runner doing a live performance, whenever you mess things up, how do you react to making those mistakes? It's such an interesting question. And we're at the point where we have, you know, half a dozen amazing runners near the top. They all have unique styles, they all do unique tricks, they're finding unique things. It's just so fun watching them and seeing what they can do with the game. And I've had the opportunity to, you know, mess with the game and figure out a lot of things and share with the community. I've discovered a number of techniques like the double shotting and stuff, which is so damn complex. And like that technique, I want to talk about that too, just because it's like, so you charge up Arbalist with Ballista. Have you played the game? So Ballista has those two mods, Arbalist and Arbalist and Destroyer Blade. And after you charge it, you left click and it shoots. That's how it's meant to work. But it turns out, if you charge it up, you left click, and you keep holding the charge button, and you open up your weapon wheel, and you hover over to some other weapon in the wheel, and you hit the mod swap button, then it triggers a second shot. But there's so much extra nuance in that, because not only do you have to do it like that, but the mods of the weapon have to be aligned. Like there's kind of a polarity of Arbalist and Precision Bolt on heavy cannon they work together. Destroyer Blade and Micro Missiles work together. And then like whenever you do the mod swap, it changes things. So you have to keep track of the state of your other weapons mods while you're doing this. And then the other fun part is whenever you open up the weapon wheel, there's a 250 millisecond delay between pressing the button and having it open up. And if you press the weapon wheel a little bit before you shoot, and then shoot and then it brings up, it's like both shots come out almost at the same time.
Yeah.
But you can actually stagger that, so you can shoot, press the weapon wheel, aim at a different target, shoot. And that is so hard to do. Like actually landing both shots on the target and getting the timing right and getting the technique right. And it's, the skill cap is just way up there. And
like, from what you are telling me, it's like there is basically no room for mistake. So you have to be like 100% precise.
So much
all the time, like just in the game. We as a players from Quake knew it, that if your mind is wandering, then your performance is not that good. But now you are doing it for hour 30 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, hour 39 is the current world record.
That's insane. I was already blown away when I saw some techniques they were showing over there at the speedrunners. It's complex. It's really pleasant to watch. What's your favorite category in the speedrunning of Doom?
My favorite? Okay, so first off, there are rule sets and there are categories. So the rule set is what's allowed.
Yeah.
And the 3 rule sets are unrestricted, which was the early stuff where you go out of bounds, you jump and go crazy and skip past all the content. And then there's limited, which kind of removes the really game-breaking stuff that lets you go out of bounds, but it still has some pretty broken glitches in it. Yeah. And then there's restricted, that breaks it down to just the techniques with the weapons that like the double shotting. And there are probably a dozen other little subtle weapon techniques you can do that kind of make the game just a little bit faster in the combat, but they don't break the game. They're just things that you use all the time to speed it up and optimize things. So restricted is the category I love, and then, or the rule set I love. And then for category, the options are any percent, or all combat encounters, or all collectibles, but I love 100%.
100%.
Yeah, that's my focus right now, and that's, you kill everything for all the tracked combat encounters, you upgrade all the weapons, you master all the weapons, you collect all the collectibles, you complete all the challenges, and it's just such a, you have to do everything in such a short amount of time and so much room for optimizations.
Before you actually started to play it, did you watch some of those speedruns?
Yes.
So do you think that this category you just described is like most satisfying to the audience, basically, because they see whole game, they see how crazy things can be happening in those encounters? Do you think this is best way basically to promote the game, like for the developers as well?
I think so, and that's kind of a small tragedy, I think, that whenever you look back at the early days of the speedrunning, and it makes sense that in the early days of speedrunning, people were just trying to see how quickly can you beat the game, and they did it like that. And they did that IGN developers react to the speedrun thing. And I feel like the developers watch that and they're like, oh man, they skip past so much of the cool stuff. But the 100% restricted is like, we're really
they show everything. Talking about speedruns, recently there was like a hunt for the world best in Quake 3 arena. Did you follow it?
Razy's?
Yeah, Razy still there. And
oh my God,
like out of nowhere, he started to run Quake 3 arena. It's like a nightmare difficulty, so no deaths allowed. Did you follow it?
Yes, and actually, just before I came to QuakeCon, I started watching the Thorn Thoughts, Thorn's Reflections with Razy episode, because I'd watched the Rafa one recently. I was like, oh, I missed the Razy one, so I haven't completed watching it, but he was talking about how whenever he was growing up, he used to play the Quake 3 single player and stuff like that, and I'm sure that plays into why he was doing the speedrun. And man, I watched quite a few of his runs. I think I caught a couple of the completed runs too. And I also saw the last run he did, which he ran into this weird bug. I forget the actual map name, but do you know the Quake 3 map that like the underside has these swinging traps that kill you? Those swinging traps have like a small period above the collision, like on the floor above, that if you hit it, you die.
I know.
And he lost a run to that, and it was just like the most heartbreaking thing.
I know. Because for you, especially because what's the deal doing these runs, and you have 1,000 hours in it. So for you, it's like even more connected to what happened over there. It's like,
oh man, I've seen so many like that sort of thing happening in Doom Eternal too. Like there are people doing 100% runs, and there's for 100% you have to master every weapon.
Yeah.
And there are a handful of them that are free for speedrunners.
Yeah.
We don't really have a problem with them. But then there are the ones that are like you have to get 75 headshot kills
Yeah.
by the end of the run.
Yeah.
And we've seen runners go all the way to the end, and then they kill the boss, get the health bar to the end, and they're trying to like find fodder to shoot and headshot and get the
Yeah.
last kills in.
Uh-huh.
They're like 74 out of 75 as it ends.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, just yesterday there's a console runner,
Uh-huh.
and he's on gamepad.
Yeah.
And he's incredibly fun to watch. And I haven't watched his run yet, but
Yeah.
I know at the very end, this is his first time completing Ultra Nightmare in 15 months of trying to speedrun the game.
Wow.
And he just got it. He completed Micro Missile Mastery. He shot his last shot as the cutscene started.
Yeah.
The missile traveled whenever he had already lost control, it hit something, and he got credit for mastering it. It counted.
Yeah.
It was 100%.
Wow, that's. I mean, for me, as a viewer, I had a huge fun over there watching the guys. I don't see myself going into speedrunning, given the circumstances of my life,
It's a
but
time commitment.
yeah, it's amazing. With a new Doom,
Dark
does it spring like new challenges? Is it something that the community is waiting for, maybe, of speedrunners?
I know there are people who are going to be very interested in seeing what the speedrun looks like and pushing it as far as they can.
Yeah.
And the exciting thing to me is that there are developers at id Software who are speedrunners themselves.
Uh-huh.
And just this afternoon, like 2 hours ago down in the
Yeah.
halls, I ran into an id Software employee I know, and then
Uh-huh.
he pointed me to a game developer id Software guy, and I was chatting with them.
Yeah.
And then my speedrunner friends came up, and then we just mobbed the guy.
Yeah.
We're asking him all these questions. Oh my god, what have I done?
Bunch of nerds meeting about
Yeah.
talking about games.
He's also a speedrun nerd himself.
Yeah.
Like he's got a Samus,
Uh-huh.
a tattoo on his
Yeah.
shoulder, and he's speedrun like Metroid Fusion and stuff
Uh-huh.
like that. So I think he was having fun chatting
Yeah.
too. So it looked like I mobbed the guy, but I think he's. I
Okay.
hope that's the case.
Let's zoom out a bit. We are here at QuakeCon. This is like for everybody who is like connected to id Software games, maybe also other games as well.
Oh, yeah.
This is like dream come true.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how many different people from the different, let's say, industries you can meet here. Do you love QuakeCon for that matter? Is it like that the number one for you, meeting people, talking with old friends?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my first QuakeCon was 2000.
Uh-huh.
And I've only been to about 10 of them. I went to a bunch between 2000 and 2007.
Yeah.
And I was developing as a Quake role player from then, so it was kind of like initially just going there for the LAN event and experiencing low ping because I was on dial-up early. And then eventually was meeting my friends and competing because I competed at the quad damage tournament and a handful of Quake 3 tournaments.
I've been there as well.
Yeah. And
2007?
yes. That was fun. Fox beat me that year.
Uh-huh.
That was
They end up in finals. It was Fox and Toxic.
That's right.
Yeah, it was an amazing match.
Yes.
When they ended up with Quake 4 on Monzoom, it was amazing.
Yeah, what a tournament.
Yeah.
That was fun. So that was the last year I went for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And I came back in 2018, 2019, and I've kind of vowed to myself I'm not going to miss a QuakeCon again.
Yeah.
And whenever we came back in 2018, it was truly something special because that was the point where I'd been away from the community for such a long time, but I started to know more and more people. And whenever I got to QuakeCon 2018, I got to connect with so many more people in person, meet them face to face. And every year I'm reconnecting with those people, I'm meeting new people. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like, there was a guy in the elevator earlier who I ran into. He's like, "You're KovaaK, right?" We met at the Logitech offices in San Francisco. Oh yeah. Whenever I was visiting the Meta, it's just like wow. You run into people you never expect to here. It's awesome.
I just heard some guys talking about like flying, about planes, about like battle planes. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Planes?
Yeah, it's like my friend is working with F-35 also. Fuck. So it's crazy. A lot of the people from the different basically branches of industry meeting here, having that one thing in common, basically opening the doors everywhere. It's amazing.
Yeah, we have. I ran into a couple of Night Dive Studio people
Yeah.
who they're doing those wonderful remasters.
Yeah.
I wish I knew those people more. I wish I could just sit down and chat
Yeah.
with so many people here.
Yeah.
QuakeCon is a blur. It's Thursday to Sunday, but like Thursday and Sunday are so short, so it really
Yeah.
feels like Friday and Saturday are real full days
Yeah.
that you get. And that's a stark contrast because I went to GDQ for the first time 2 years
Uh-huh.
ago, and that's a full 7-day event from
Yeah.
Sunday to Sunday.
Yeah.
That felt like a much
Uh-huh.
longer.
I mean, they are covering a lot of games, so the cost of games done quick is amazing. It's like they are able to raise so much money. It's perfect, and it's a showcase of different games. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So KovaaK, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
It was a pleasure to talk with you, and if we missed something, feel free to tell us. But I think that we basically made those three major topics completely transparent for people.
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to just let my brain talk about these things. Because
Yeah.
they are the things that are special to me, and it's the happiest points in my life these days.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that it all comes together at QuakeCon.
Yeah.
And to anybody who's out there who hasn't been to QuakeCon, if you have the opportunity, it is a truly unique and amazing experience.
Yeah, I'll subscribe to that. Thank you very much, brother.